Hey everyone, hey! Hi! You want a pistachio? We're watching a video.
Is in the air. Eastern on TN.
She feels so real. She feels like a real baby. That's because she has tiny bones inside.
Yo, what? Yo, slow down here. What did she just say? What the fuck did she just say?
Feels like a real baby. That's because she has tiny bones inside.
What the fuck?
February 2022, an urban explorer makes his way down a long
quality 360p. Why does it default to that? I have better internet than that.
Forgotten dirt road somewhere in rural China. His ultimate destination was a dilapidated structure shrouded in mystery for both him and all others in the region, with many referring to it simply as a laboratory. But what kind of laboratory was completely unknown. This did little to deter the man. In fact, the mystique of this building made the location even more tantalizing, as it would make for the perfect setting for a video on his TikTok page. Perhaps the one that would finally...
Bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. It's a fucking Joker kid. Ain't no way, dude. No. I refuse to believe this shit. Wonder how I got these scars. Look at his face, dude. That's what he's thinking. I'm the Joker. I'm the Joker, baby.
thrust him into the public eye. And as he walked down that old dirt road, he believed that each step was taking him closer and closer to uncovering that building's original purpose. But what he'd find in that old laboratory wouldn't be answers. In fact, he would be left with far more questions, as the video he would go on to post would leave hundreds of thousands of people horrified, disturbed, and in many cases, scarred for life. With the clip setting off what may very well be the darkest mystery to ever unfold on the site, and perhaps one of the most disturbing in the entire history of the internet. Before we fully get into things here, do you have any idea how many subscriptions you are currently paying for? I didn't until I was
It's Rocket, dude, I was just sponsored by these guys. But use my code. You guys use my code.
Introduced to today's
no offense to Nick Crowley, all right? Use my code.
Is rocketmoney.com/Crowley to get started for free and to get your money right in 2023.
/Bionicpig. Yeah, that's what he said.
Of all the cases I've covered in the world of internet oddities and mysteries, this one is probably the most unique, as the contents of this mystery involve videos that can barely be broadcast in any capacity, due to just how disturbing they are. And although I'm sure some of you will be disappointed that the videos themselves are not shown in their entirety, I can assure you that these clips are ones that you don't want to see.
I want to see
And on that note, let's go back to that old dirt road. The location was one of many examined by this explorer who goes under the name Beanbag Adventures on Douyin, the original Chinese version of TikTok. And for the sake of this video, his real name will not be disclosed as he's...
So since China doesn't allow TikTok, they actually made their own TikTok?
Never made it publicly available, so I'll just be referring to him as X. X's channel features a multitude of creepy locations left to the mercy of time and isolation, but of all the places he would go on to visit, he could tell immediately that this one was going to be different. As he entered the structure, he was greeted with an overwhelming stench that covered the building in its entirety. The mask he wore helped block out some of the smell, but not nearly enough to make it a pleasant experience. Noticing this, X immediately began to suspect that something was off, as he roamed the halls of the lab using the smell as a marker, following it to uncover its source. This
Oh
led him
my
past the
God.
first floor and down into the structure's basement, which consisted of old concrete rooms and tunnels, almost like some sort of fallout shelter. And as he passed by one room in particular, he knew he had found the source of the stench, as the smell coming from its opening was nearly unbearable. But having come all this way, he decided to push on and enter.
Dead bodies? I mean, we're just assuming here, right? Dead bodies? Dude, how the fuck do you have the balls to do this shit? I would be shitting my fucking pants right now. Going into any abandoned building as is, that's fine. Whatever. Like, abandoned buildings are kind of cool. The basement of an abandoned building, you're gonna run into some like zombie or crazy scientist experimenting on some like creature. It's gonna be some Resident Evil 4 shit up in here, which, by the way, I do actually want to play after seeing some of it.
The room, turning on his camera just a few minutes later to reveal what exactly he had discovered.
来吧，兄弟们想看的，地下实验室，金里城。
Dude, the fucking music. Are you kidding me? I was expecting some like spooky ass, like creepy music, but it's some inspirational like, let's go guys, look, I found some dead bodies. Resident Evil 4 stream? Yes, potentially.
承受能力强的患有，随着镜头来。接下来大家所看到的一切物品。
As he enters the room, X shows a large pool-like structure lined with old pieces of wood, and as it comes into frame, he prefaces the discovery by saying that the contents within this pool are merely props from an old movie. He then proceeds to point the camera down inside, revealing thick green water, and floating within this water were what looked to be children, mere babies, and dozens of them decaying in the water. X then begins to gag and runs out of the room, shutting off the camera right before getting sick. The video is shocking, and as it made its way through the Douyin site, it was met with mixed reactions. Many took X's word to heart, believing his explanation that the children were simply abandoned props left over from some movie that must have been shot there, while others called it an outright hoax, believing that X's demeanor and the editing of the video came across as disingenuous.
Well, yeah, like the bro's using inspirational music over dead babies. No shit, people are gonna think it's like in bad taste.
We're going on to assume
Holy
that the
crap.
explorer had just set it up himself. But within this crowd were a select few who were more concerned. The bodies looked so real, and each one appeared to be in different stages of decomposition.
Stop that.
And that
No.
smell, if they were simply made of plastic and rubber, then why was that smell so unbearable to the point that X had gotten physically sick from it? Following this line of thinking, if somehow this were to be real, then that begs the question, what were all these bodies doing in an abandoned laboratory? Given what seemed to be their level
Tiny
of
bones.
decomposition, it was clear that they hadn't been there for more than a few months, yet this structure has been left abandoned for decades, and you can tell as much just by looking at the infrastructure. Due to this video having been posted in 2022, this automatically rules out the idea that this was part of China's one-child policy, as that was abolished back in 2015. Plus, that policy wouldn't have matched anyway, as some of the children seen in that water were, well, just that, children. None of them were infants, and some were even comparable in size to those as old as 5 or 6, which seems to immediately rule out this.
See, I was thinking like, you know, babies that like died after birth. That's what I thought, right? And then they just disposed of them that way. I didn't think actual toddlers.
Explanation. Digging into the video a bit
That makes it
deeper,
a lot worse.
a few others began to notice what they believed to be an off-putting.
Yeah, also, one child policy? Like, bro, what do you do if they accidentally have 2? You just kill it? Like, what the fuck? I've never heard of that. One child policy? You just fucking kill it? Yeah, do you abort it after they're out of the womb? Do you just abort them? Oh, they're birthed. Sorry, we gotta abort. It's a 2-child policy now, for real? No way. Yes, they often killed kids that were born after the policy. What? No, you guys are fucking with me. There's no way. Well, I know they're severely overpopulated, but I didn't think they'd actually killed babies. Like, are we talking abortions? Or are we talking like actual babies that were born? All right, I gotta look this up. China kills baby in a microwave. What the fuck? I'm not even joking. China, I typed China kills babies and it says China kills baby in a microwave. What is going on in China? The fuck? What? China's former one-child policy continues to haunt families. Oh wait, the limit's 3 children in China now. So, like, if the birth is... Okay, the birth... Oh, wait, hold up. Her son is part of the last generation of children of China whose births were ruled illegal at the time, anxious that rapid population growth would strain the country's welfare system. Chinese state began limiting how many children... Okay, but what do you do? What do you do when they birth an extra one? Legacy of one child so painfully felt. Many parents who suffer from having multiple children. Okay. But forced abortion or they kill it after birth. What the fuck? Like, first of all, abortion should be a choice. It should not be forced on anyone. That is basically the equivalent of forcing someone to have a baby when they don't want to. It's the same shit. What the fuck, man? Dude, China's crazy. What the hell? What the fuck?
Detail. As directly after X states that the bodies in the pool were simply props, he then goes on to say that this video was going to be censored and that you'll only ever see this from him. This prompted the theory that the movie prop line was just some sort of cover-up to allow the footage to be shown across Douyin so that he could expose the true horrors transpiring in this old lab. Admittedly, some of these details are a bit bizarre, but despite all of this, the theory that these bodies were somehow real was merely speculation, and far-fetched speculation to say the least, as most would go on to assume the footage to be fake, carrying on with their lives and forgetting all about this bizarre video.
After this video, I'm done talking about dead babies. For at least a week. Couple days.
And it wasn't just the viewers who seemed to immediately forget about this footage, as X himself would continue posting as usual immediately after this, making no mention of his discovery in that laboratory. And much like that laboratory, in the months that followed, X's video would soon be lost.
Yangish with the sub. Why can't I see it? Why, dude, what is going on with my Twitch chat? I can't see it. Like, it's just blank. So you gave me a sub. I hope you didn't say anything because I can't fucking see it. The hell. Thank you though.
To time. Or at least this was the case until December 26th, 2022, when X would once again follow that old dirt road and return to the strange room.
Uh-oh.
兄弟们，防空洞里面那个实验室。一池子小孩，一池子小孩。今天我们来看一看，拍上点视频。胆小的勿看啊，记得来注意细节。
This time, things within that tunnel were different. Upon entering, he would see strange bottles and tubes on the ground, which hadn't been there before, and as he approached the pool, he could now see children's clothing scattered all across the pathway, including a cap which would commonly be worn by a child. The pool itself was also slightly altered, as there was now a large blue tarp covering the majority of its surface, concealing its contents. However, at the far end was an opening, just large enough to reveal that those prop bodies from before were in fact still in there. Only this time, the idea of them being movie props was far less believable. It had been 10 long months since X had first peered into that pool, and now the bodies he once claimed to be from a movie set were far more decayed, to the point that not just the bodies were shown, but the bones within them as well. Skulls, ribs, hips were all on display, being revealed by the peeling of their rotten flesh, in a scene that looked all too realistic. So much so that X was now referring to them solely as dead bodies, as that level of detail would have been nearly impossible to fake. X then pulls out his phone and reveals the date and time, December 26th, 2022, 11:26 a.m., before turning to the exit and leaving in a hurry.
看时间啊，2022年12月26，兄弟们，这个味儿啊，我居然能挺住。
Dude, I'd be fucking hacking it, dude. Bro, I'd be scared as shit. Like, you know there's something going on. If this is like, if this is legit, which I mean, you know, it always could be a hoax, but like, bro, there's people still using that. That means there might be people fucking down there. I don't know.
哎呀，这里还有这些药瓶子，拜拜了，哥走了，我去，这个臭啊！啊，拜拜，拜拜。
Why go alone? That's just what this dude does.
The second video was far different from the first, as its validity is much harder to argue against. I obviously won't be showing it here, but the bodies were just too realistic. I honestly don't think they could have been faked, as even across all the big budget movies I've ever seen, no dead body props have ever come close to this level of realism, which makes it seem all the more unlikely that someone could have faked this just for a TikTok. And that sentiment was shared across the site almost universally. Rather than being a source of speculation like that first video, people were now left simply horrified, having likely witnessed the sight of a dozen dead children. And this wasn't the only major difference between the two clips either, with the most relevant coming from the contents of the video themselves. For starters, those bottles, clothing, and that tarp were all not there upon his first visit, meaning that whatever this pool was being used for, it was still being actively visited
I'm sure
and
the cops
worked
wouldn't
on
do anything,
after that
but
first
I don't
video
know.
was made. And worst of all, the number of bodies shown in that water was significantly higher the second time around, meaning that whatever he had walked in on was still clearly actively happening. Despite this disturbing detail, this didn't stop X from returning just a few days later, determined to reveal all of the horrors of that old lab. And upon this third visit, he would follow that tunnel even deeper, this time finding tubes with fetuses in them, skulls, and even a fully complete vertebrae, piled on top hundreds of other bones. He'd even uncover multiple large bags filled to the brim with even more skeletal remains. And what made this all the more confusing was that all these bones were from what seemed to be fully grown humans, meaning that within this abandoned building were bodies ranging from newborns to children all the way to adults. According to a few people across Reddit, X would make one more video in this laboratory, this time focusing a search on the upper levels of the building, revealing more bones seemingly belonging to children, as well as kids' toys and masks.
还是实验室的化学用剂，这里还有不明的液体，这里还发现了小孩子的面具，小时候的回忆。
What the fuck?
一张面具，开心。这里还一个皮箱。
Like, was there an atomic bomb that happened in this area? What is going on? It's like there was just a plague just in this centralized area. The fuck happened?
这个应该是医院拍的片子，在走廊东侧发现了一个特别的格局，这个房间格局像不像是特别危险？
Yeah,
no.
Fuck no, dude. Are you kidding me?
I personally couldn't fully verify if this location was the same or not, but it does appear similar enough to at least mention here. With that being said, we were left with 3 to 4 short videos, and so many questions, the most overarching of all being what the hell was happening in this laboratory. This question prompted numerous theories, one of the earliest being that a serial killer had been using this location to dump the many bodies of his victims. This would kind of make sense, as up until X had visited the building, it was virtually untouched for decades, making it the perfect place to commit heinous crimes far away from the public eye. But the main problem with this theory is the scale of it all. There were just too many bodies for it all to have been done by one person. Even a group of mass murderers would have a hard time amassing so many victims. And given the fact that most of these bodies seem to belong to children, and the fact that they were disposed of in such a bizarre way, made many others—
Yeah, I wonder if like that pool or whatever is just like acid or some shit, you know?
begin to shift their beliefs towards other theories, with by far the most popular being that this location was being used as some sort of black market organ trade. This idea became a main focal point following the second video in particular, as many of the bodies shown had openings in their chest cavities, which revealed that they all seemed to lack any internal organs, prompting the belief that the kids were killed for their organs, perhaps in a medical facility somewhere else, and their bodies were dumped in this location afterwards, assuming that they would never be found. And in the minds of many, this wasn't just being done by some random group, and instead they believed it was being carried out by their country's own government.
China has no effective organ donation
I mean, at this point, who knows?
That's because culturally, Chinese people believe the body must stay intact even after death.
The organ trade in China is quite the rabbit hole, but to make things simple, China has one of the lowest percentages of organ donors out of any major country. But despite this, it's somehow known as one of the easiest places to get an organ transplant, especially for wealthy individuals. People even travel there from other countries to get life-saving procedures, as transplants that could take years and years in the US can be done in China in the matter of weeks, as long as the money is right. Which begs the question, where do these organs come from?
Dude,
well, in recent years, China has been caught executing prisoners that were not sentenced to death simply in order to use their organs in this trade, all because of the staggering amount of money that can be made per procedure. And though this practice works for adults, there is one thing that these prisons don't have: children. So when a child needs a new organ, let's say one of a high-ranking official or a wealthy member of Chinese society, where do they turn? This idea has prompted the belief that China has been doing some shady things to obtain these organs, like perhaps kidnapping and killing innocent children, simply to use their organs and save other wealthy children in order to gain a massive profit. Now I have to say that this is not a fully confirmed theory by any means, but it is a fairly common belief, even among members of China's own population.
I know absolutely nothing about China, except that, you know, they're kind of crazy sometimes. I've heard like organ trade before, but I didn't fucking, this shit's deep. This shit's deep. Well, what are we even going into? This started off as a TikTok mystery. Now we're going into Chinese government conspiracy theories.
And because of this, X's 4 videos prompted outrage across social media, with many calling out the government for their involvement. And as soon as those fingers started to point, the case took a drastic turn. On the morning of January 15th, the Beanbag Adventure channel would disappear from the Douyin site without explanation, which honestly comes as little surprise. X had shown his face all over these videos and was clearly not shy about exposing this lab, and with so many people now blaming the government, it was only a matter of time before he was silenced.
Where is he now?
In fact, X himself even foresaw this happening all the way back in that first clip. Unsurprisingly, when X's account went dark, many immediately began to fear the worst, believing that he was not only silenced on social media, but silenced altogether, likely being thrown in a prison somewhere or just killed outright. Because of this, X was hailed as a hero for risking his life to show the world what was truly happening there, and most believed that this would be the last time we would ever hear from X again. But as it turns out, something much stranger would happen from here. Just a few days after its removal, the Beanbag Adventure account would re-emerge, this time with all 4 of these videos missing. And even more bizarrely, he just continued uploading videos from there, going to different locations and making that same content he once did before stumbling.
Dude, he got a talking to. He got a talking to, bro. Wow, deleted all, they shut down the channel, he deleted all of the videos and just acted like nothing happened.
Across that lab. Despite the massive virality of the story, not once has he ever acknowledged any of his previous findings. And if you look at his page today, you would never know that just a few months before, he had the entire nation in an uproar. The whole situation is incredibly off-putting, and who knows what happened to X during that time his account went down. But whatever it was, it clearly frightened him enough to never speak of this abandoned building again. For many, this behavior confirmed their suspicion that the government was somehow involved in whatever the activity was happening within this structure. While for others, this confirmed that this was all somehow staged, as if it were real, the chances of X being alive right now would seem to be rather unlikely. Plus, within all his exposés of this lab, he never actually revealed where it was, causing doubt in the minds of a select few. But if I'm being honest, I just don't believe that those bodies could have possibly been faked. Though due to the nature of cases...
I don't know. Like that, I don't know. Like, because the thing is, no, he probably couldn't call the cops, right? Because, yeah, the Chinese government are kind of sus. That's a weird situation, man. That's
like
weird.
This in China, a true answer has never and likely will never be fully revealed, leaving us with nothing more than speculation and a mystery far darker than any we've ever delved into. I'll be monitoring this case for the next few months to see if anything changes or is revealed, as due to the high level of censorship, information was incredibly hard to find on this story, making it likely that not everything said here was entirely true, so I will be sure to update you all if anything ever comes of this. But until then, we'll be left with far too many questions, and no...
Dude, that is fucking creepy, man. What the hell?
Now it's time to walk away. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Did you laugh or cry or maybe subscribed? I'll thank you either way. You know I will miss you. I hope you return. Tell your friend or your mother to get me more views, please.